Oh man, do I have a surprise for you! All of this awesomeness right here. Today I am going to show you something I should have done a long time ago in one single video, okay? In every season, I always get the question, how do I waterproof my RC? Seems pretty simple, but a very complicated task nonetheless. So, today, we're going to take an Axial SCX10 right here. We're going to make sure front to back and everything in between is made water resistant. Electronics, water going together, always things that are, a problem outside of the electronics, because we're always thinking we're hearing things are waterproof. There are things to consider, such as the all-important bearings. Okay, bearings are what help the wheels spin. I know a lot of us know what bearings are, so I'm going to move on. If you don't, Google bearings, okay? So, SCX10, brand new. We can basically equate this to any RC vehicle because they're relatively the same, especially in off-road 4x4s, okay? This is for electric RCs. Today is for the electric vehicles. This is the new release of an SCX10 4x4 truck. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. If not, check out my video right here and this will give a good overview of what the truck does. But for those who have seen it and are running it in the spring, fall, summer, winter, you like how I did that because it's all seasons, we always need to know how to make this water resistant, if not waterproof. This is what the truck looks like. Steering servo up front, okay? Receiver box underneath the battery tray. Motor, transmission with the shroud on. We will be removing that to look at it. All the way to drive shafts, differentials, and bearings throughout. Receiver, transmitter, all that stuff, we have to keep in mind that we do not want moisture to be in contact with it because we all know water and electricity makes RC fun no-go, okay? So I'm going to give you an overview of what's on the bench. Let's do this together. I love the shine off the windshield of the SCX10 there. Okay, so truck. Hey, servos. We're going to have to look at servos today. Axle, this is a rear axle of the vehicle. Receiver, we're going to talk about batteries. We're going to talk the almighty transmission, what we do with that big fella. We're going to talk about ESCs, and we're going to talk about motors, and heck, I may even touch on a winch. What I'm going to need for today is a razor, a whole bunch of screwdrivers. These are hex drivers, okay? For those who want to know where I got this, it is a Team Associated factory team, okay, handle basically. I think that's Associated. Razor blade and my Phillips, okay? So basically, those who don't know, a Phillips is a star head. I read somewhere the other day that people do not recommend plasti-dip. I don't know who those people are because I've been using this forever in all of my videos. There is also different things like liquid tape and all that, but they have a tendency to break down over time with heat and age. This does not. This is a plastic coating that you can get at basically, I get this in Canada at Auto Value. You can get it at Target. You can get it online. It's just a big black goop. Anybody who knows me or knows my videos knows that I use plasti-dip to help waterproof or water resist my RCs, okay? First thing I'm going to start off with is we'll just start right at the front of the truck. One of the things that you got to consider is that there are bearings in the axles. There's bearings, okay? Bearings up here, bearings where the drive shaft is, and bearings on the other side where the wheels are. Really easy to access the wheels. Take these off, take the wheel off. I'm going to show you something a little bit different. You guys all know I have a frame of an SCX10 hanging on the wall. You can see on the steering hubs here, we'll get this nice and close there. I'm looking at the monitor right now so I can make sure you see it. There is a bearing, once it focuses, right back behind the drive pin. there is another bearing right behind the drive shaft, okay? Right in there. We have to access this area to get in there to make sure to at least water resist those bearings. The back axle I've already taken off because it's easier for me to show you with a back axle. Here is a rear axle. Okay, you guys may not think this is important, but it certainly is, because everyone can have waterproof electronics. Even my buddy Crawler Ted and I were talking about this today. Everybody can say waterproof truck, the electronics are secure, but what they fail to say is that the bearings are not. Bearings can still rust and seize. So here, I'm going to take this off. This is quite an old axle. It's got some dirt in there. I'm just going to pull this apart so you guys can see properly. Perfect. Here's one that I never did. This is a great example of why you need to do your bearings. Here, all the dirt in there, because dirt definitely will get in. You can't stop it from getting in because we have all these holes for the screws. You never want to put grease or silicone over the heads of the screws because you will never be able to undo it. You can clean it, you can try to, but good luck. You need to keep it free and accessible, right? Can you imagine grease with a hex driver? It just slips and strips. No, okay, I can't say it. Have a look up here. Rusty bearing. Listen to that. Gross. It's not focusing because it's focusing on my face, but I want it to focus on this, so I'm stepping out of the way of the camera. Look at that grossness, okay? Dirty, yucky, gonna seize up. Sounds disgusting. What I should have done. Let me have a look at the end here, because there's bearings that go in the end cap as well. I'm going to try and push it out without stabbing myself. I can't. It's solid. It's frozen in there. Okay? So slowly I'm working it out here. One of the things I should have done is used marine grease. I have a whole video on marine grease. You can check it out right here. Okay, goes through why I use marine grease, the type of marine grease that I use. It is a lithium based grease, but it's highly water resistant. You can see here that this bearing has quite a bit of smut in it. You can't really see because the light's there. We go. Okay, quite a bit of crud in there. Now I could be very meticulous and peel out the cover and put marine grease inside, which I suggest if you have the time. You can peel back the rubber bushing that goes around it and pack some marine grease in there. Or, if you're not going to be that tedious about it, you have the end cap that goes over the end. What I would do, here I've already got a preloaded gun. Look at this big bugger, eh? Hey! All I gotta do is show you this and then say, that's what she said. Just give it a big blob in the end, okay? That's so many dirty things when you're talking about slippery grease. Okay, here we go. Just gonna put, you can see the nozzle there. Marine grease is relatively blue, okay? Gonna just stick that nozzle in there, give her a shot. Now you can see in the end, big blob of marine grease, and then you got your bearing. You just push it in, make sure it's nice and flush. You can do this with your old trucks too, just like I'm doing right now. You just want to make sure to clean it up nice. This one I don't really care too much about, but it makes for a great example. So you stick the bearing down in there, and then what you want to do once it's flush with the end is make sure that marine grease is blobbed in. Now it's somewhat majority protected from water because it's been encapsulated in the marine grease. We have to move on because I don't want this to take forever. Also, once you clean out, or if you have a brand new stock axle, you'll want to go in, lay a pad of marine grease right around the bearing on both sides. Also on the differential gear, okay? So I'm not going to overpack it because overpacking it is going to be counterproductive and cause some binding issues, especially on gears. And with a little motor, when you're going through the mud, you don't want your axles to be binding. So I'll take the marine grease. You guys should wear latex gloves. I can hear you all writing in now, but just for the sake and purpose of this, there we go. Just kind of rub it around there. You also want to be putting marine grease around the bearings, okay? You don't need to pack this whole thing, again, because of the binding issues. Bump, 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 bump. You all of a sudden get a nice greased and protected diff while the bearings are also protected on each side from the step 1 that we did with the original bearing and the end cap. Also make sure to get in behind the bearing of the drive shaft, because that is also important. You've all had RCs that you've run in the water that go ee, ee, ee. That's my dolphin impression, or a rusty bearing impression. We hate it. It sucks. There's no way around it unless you do your maintenance. You need to do maintenance with these trucks. They're expensive for a reason, because you're expected to upkeep them, right? Or else you're not going to have them very long. Next thing on the truck, in order, is going to be the servo. My friends, I'm just going to move this out of the way for a second. We'll get to that in a moment. Servos, this is not the stock servo, and I've already undone the screws on the bottom. This is a fairly popular brand called Hi-Tech. Come on, focus. What I do with these is I take my Phillips, or the star head, undo all of the screws on the bottom, carefully lift the top off the servo, exposing the horn, okay, or where you would mount the horn. Here, I gotta get that to focus better for you guys. There you go. So you can see I've already started to marine grease it from the top. Don't worry, don't muck about with these gears in here. Take yourself, let me see, this, look at this, a very, very small O-ring, okay? What you want to do is you want to stretch it around the top of that horn. Once you have it around the top of the horn, here I just got to do the get on there while I'm on camera. Should have had that prepared first, but I didn't. Check it out. Okay, now focus on that, not me. There you go. Now we have an O-ring around the top. This is going to help seal everything. Now you could go ahead and put a light coating inside the servo of the marine grease. Not too much, because you will cause binding in the servo, and you don't want that. You want complete throw left and right of your steering. So you could put a dab in here, a dab will do ya. Okay? Moving on. With this horn, here we'll get out the old marine grease again. This is like a ridiculous size gun. Okay? A little bit. Check it out. A dab will do ya. Run it around the O-ring that's there, okay? Now you're going to come back, you're going to pop the lid right back on. Now, not only have you got a water resistant servo on top, but once this is screwed back together, you're going to take this puppy, just like I've shown in other videos, okay, on how to waterproof servos. My good old friend plasti-dip. What I do is I dip it in plasti-dip. This has to take like 10 hours to dry, guys. I do it right? I don't rush this. When it's dipped, it'll come out big and blobby like you saw in the video if you actually looked at it. But over time it will dry, and check it out. It dries around all of the seals. It's focusing on that hood back there. There we go. This dries around all and shrinks. See? Drying and shrinking around all of these screws. Now your horn has been protected. All of the open seams have dried, and now you can see there's no water going to get through there. Gotta get that to focus better. I gotta get a new camera. This one's filmed like 200 videos. And what I do is I hang it through a pen in between two, and I just let it dry. When it dries, it shrinks, and you get this end result. This is now ready to go. This is $12, thereabout, depending on where you buy it. This servo came with your truck anyway, so go ahead and do it, right? Stock servo, even with the high-tech one I have. They do have waterproof servos. Check this out. Ba-bow! And this is a high-tech. This here you've seen me use. This is a Traxxas 2075. I don't like these. There's a reason why I don't like them. They're like 45 bucks, but they're plastic gears inside. So if you actually bump something too hard and break the teeth off, yeah, you can buy replacement parts for like 6 bucks online, but that kind of ruins your day of arcene. No good. I either do it this method, or I haven't tried these out yet. These are the new high-techs, but this is $69. So a lot of us don't have 69 bucks. We have 12 bucks, and this can go a long way, and I'm going to show you what I mean. Next thing on the truck, now that we got the servo done and it's been installed, everything's good to go. Next thing I have is the receiver box. The receiver box holds a lot of the electronics, like the lights, like the receiver itself, okay? Here's the frame that I have hanging up. Check out this little trick I have. See in the bottom of the receiver box, it drilled 2 holes. You know why? Because no matter what, water is going to go in there. I want the water to come out. So I drill 2 holes and make some drainage in it. While I'm in there, I also have a look at the receiver. Now this is a Spectrum receiver. It's another manufacturer. This is not the stock receiver, but same idea. I just haven't taken it out of that truck yet. I also plasti-dip the receiver, but before I do that, I put leads on it. So I plug all my stuff into the leads. I think these are like $2 each at a hobby store. And dip this whole thing right into the plastic dip. Plasti-dip, not plastic dip. Same thing, plasti-dip. I let this hang and dry. Have a look over here, because this is a this over here is a receiver that I was doing that's hanging and drying. Same thing with what I was just showing you, okay? Now I'm just going to go back up. Oh, really close. Okay, and we'll secure that. This receiver now can be accessed without ruining the waterproofing you did, because it's completely sealed. It's got some Velcro on the bottom. I can always plug things in and out with ease. Excellent idea. Moving right along. Same thing with the light kit inside. It comes, it's got some shrink wrap on it. Just dip the light kit chip into the plasti-dip. Please keep in mind, all of this destroys your warranty. You have to be prepared that if you're running your truck or doing any mods, there is no more warranty. I don't even know if these kind of trucks have a warranty. I'm not a spokesperson for anybody, but RC Sparks. So, this is what I'm saying, is that be aware that if you run your trucks in water, be prepared to break them. But these are some tips that will help you. Well, try to prolong the agony of having to fix your stuff again. Next is the ESC, the Electronic Speed Control. It is more known as the brain of the vehicle, or a power distribution center. Okay, because it works in correlation or in partnership with the receiver to push power to your wheels. I'm just going to back up the camera a little bit here because I need you guys to see something. Bum, 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 bum. This is the ESC that comes with this truck. In fact, you can see it right here, mounted sideways with an on-off switch. Doot, 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 doot. Okay. The new ESC, this one, has fins on the top just like the old one did. This one has a drag brake though, which is very handy. If you don't know what a drag brake is, definitely Google it. This has a sticker that goes all the way around the outside. And what you want to do is not dunk this, because this has to have the fins generally exposed to distribute the heat that's produced, right? Because electricity, power, heat, you know how it goes. This here, my friends, I have already gone ahead and taken apart, hanging in between the 2 controllers that you've seen. But I'm not just going to say this is what you do. I'm going to show you how to take this apart real quick. Because you don't want to be messing around and cracking things. Make sure you have a sharp blade. Go down the side without slicing your fingers off, especially if you're doing a video on waterproofing. Okay, now I've cut on both sides. On the top, if you can see, and if it focuses right there, you can see that the case actually encases the chip. So I'm going to take my nice little fingernails and I'm going to pull on one side away. Not too hard though. And you can hear it click, click. Look at focusing, doesn't matter. Once it clicks, you push a little bit and you go to the other side. You can see it starting to separate. This is also a warranty killer right here, guys, so be very, very aware that if you're going to do this, no warranty replacement, okay? I, on the other hand, don't care and just like water-resistant gear. These leads come out this end. These all go through the top. In fact, you can see there's little holes on each four corner to let you know where it all goes. Pinch those wires together. As those wires are pinched together, be smart. Tape them together. You're doing two things here, folks. Two things. A, you're remembering how the case goes back together. And B, you've just now created a hanging point. Take the bottom off. Also, just by gently removing it, and here we go. You can see that there's tabs. Hopefully you can. I'm gonna focus, can't focus. There's two tabs on the end. Just gently lift back and pull it out. Check it out. There. Okay? This is very important. No water can get anywhere around these electrodes, okay? Good old plasti-dip. But I do not cover the fins. This stuff forms a skin very quickly. You want to let this dry. Do not mess around with it. Let it sit, hang, and dry. You know why I created a little loop? Oh, check it out. Hey, I can hang it just like that. Okay? Now I'm going to bring over the one I've done for you already. This has actually gone through the process twice. Not the whole thing, but I covered it really well last night. You can see that it's shrunk and dried. It's all covering the electronics. Everywhere you look, even though it's kind of blurry, there we go, everywhere you look has been covered. In fact, what I did was I inspected it this morning. I saw that when it was drying and shrinking, it kind of pulled away from some spots. So I went in with a finger, just kind of dabbed it on there. Yeah, mushing it around with a latex glove and pushed it in there, okay? Something you want to make sure that there's no electronics exposed or else it will get ruined. Also, make sure to bend the wires back and forth. Blob some in there. You need to get this watertight. Notice everything is still, how I said a few minutes ago, taped off, everything's good, and leads hanging down. People ask me about the switch all the time. Here's a little hint for the folks that are interested in doing this. Again, I know I keep reiterating this, but it is YouTube and some folks don't listen. You will void the warranty if you cut any of this stuff. Well, what you saw me do just there was cut the on-off switch off. I don't need it. All I need to do is take the two open leads. You don't let your mom see you do this. Or your wife if you spent a lot of money on your teeth. Simply expose the wires, twist them together. That will complete the circuit. What that's going to do is always leave that on. Take your nifty little plasti-dip with your twisted wires, just like that. Okay, let that dry. Now, whenever you plug the battery in, it turns on. You unplug the battery, it turns off. It's just that simple. There we go. I could feel a bit of resistance. Remember, if you have to force it, you're not doing it right. Okay, everything goes together. Look at everything's doing fine. And click, 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 clickety click, click. My ESC is waterproof now. Water resistant. I always feel so bad saying waterproof because you never, ever, ever know if you got it properly. It's the risk of playing with electricity in water. Okay, making sure everything is sealed up. Now it doesn't matter if this case gets any water on it. It doesn't, because everything inside has been protected and the heat fins are still dissipating the heat. Next, moving right along with my presentation. People always ask me, Medic, what about my batteries? How do I waterproof them? Lithium polymer, these type, cannot go in water. You get water on lipo stuff, it will explode. But there is ways to get around this. A lot of folks use nickel metal hydride. This is just an example of cells, right? Round cells. You guys have these kind of batteries. In fact, I've got a perfect example of one right here. Here's what some people use. A normal nickel metal hydride. These are okay to go in the water. It doesn't matter. You don't need to waterproof these. And depending on the manufacturer you get them from, Max Amps is a good example of that, all of their lipos are waterproof already. But I know a lot of people out there like a variety. Some think they're too expensive, blah, blah, blah. They've got different types of lipos. So I'm going to use something like this, okay? A 4000 2-cell lipo. You'll notice this is actually my wife's battery. I took a thin layer of silicone and covered the open areas. Even around the front here, so no water could get in there. You could plasti-dip the whole thing. I don't really think it's necessary. You could put on a glove and wipe the plasti-dip all around, let it dry, and you'd be good. Don't worry about getting these wet. They're going to corrode over time anyway, but this won't cause a short. Here, come over here. I'm going to bring the camera with me. Hey, we're going on a little journey together. Right here. I'm going to show you one more thing. It has nothing to do with the radios. It actually has to do with the motor. This is a stock motor that comes with the truck. I'm going to back up a little bit just so I can see the face properly. My own face. We're going to focus on this glass of water. That's why I'm up in the top corner over here like this. This is a brushed motor, which means it has brushes inside that touch the comm that give it the power it needs. Brushless is different. I'm going to focus on brushed today, okay? The brushed motor never needs to worry about being waterproof, but it needs to be in clean water to run. It doesn't cause shorting. You want to see something kind of neat? Now, I'm going to overpower this motor. I should be using a nickel metal hydride, but I don't have anything. Hold on a second. Maybe I'd... no, I don't have anything on hand that is nickel metal hydride that has the proper connector on it. So I'm actually just going to use a 2-cell lipo. It's going to totally overpower this, but it will totally suit the needs for what we're doing right now. Watch this. Going around the back. Hey, I'm over here. Okay? We're going to move this closer so you can see it. I love doing one continuous shot. It's almost like doing live TV. Okay, getting in there, especially when you're filming by yourself. Check this out. Now all I did was put some different connectors on the end, okay? I soldered them together. Now they're ready to go. There's a pinion on the end because I want to show you that it's actually moving the water inside. Check this out. It's going to jump like crazy and it will be quite noisy. So I'm keeping my fingers clear from the fins because it has these holes that needs to breathe. And I'm going to plug this in. Okay, watching, plugging it in, jumping. Okay, direct going. Check it out. Did you like that? There we go. Totally waterproof. I should have planned that. Just like I said, live TV, but what can you do? Okay, so now you can see that everything is just fine. No one was electrocuted. The motor works fine. In fact, I got a whole bunch of yucky garbage in there from kind of cleaning out the motor. Now, this is how we used to break in brushed motors back in the old days. In fact, if you do this, you can actually get quite a bit of torque because it will help clean off the brushes inside and make a better connection. In fact, you can see a whole bunch of, I don't know if you can, whole bunch of stuff in the bottom there that basically do not drink the water after you do this. You can see all the yucky stuff in there that actually cleans this out, okay? So it makes a better connection. Now, I'm going to back this up and do one more thing before I end this video. Woo! There we go. Okay? This is why I keep everything unplugged, because you never know when water is going to fly everywhere. So here we go. Right here, now that you know how to go through and make your motor work properly, okay, people ask me, how do I waterproof a winch? Okay, they see me working with winches all the time. This is a 3 racing winch, and this is the only winch I have experience with. So I won't talk about RC 4-wheel drive or other winches. I'm going to talk about this one. Now that you've seen a brushed motor can work in water and not be damaged, brushed, not brushless, this is a little brushed motor in there. Okay, right in there. Hey, right over here actually where the wire comes out. This is where the motor sits. What attaches here is a circuit board. The circuit board is the thing that needs to be plasti-dipped and waterproofed. I'm not guaranteeing this will work forever, but I've certainly used my winches in the water and everything, and it works fine. Granted, over time it will seize the motor. There's nothing you can do about it. Okay, so there. Now you have a general idea. Let's walk back over here again. Dun, 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 dun. You can see the mess under my table. You know, look at here. There's one more thing. I'll cover this because we didn't cover the transmission. I didn't want to make this go on too long, but I actually think it's important. Here, come here. Come over here. Let's have a look on the table, and I'll actually focus down here. Okay. This is the transmission taken apart. Here, let's look at the transmission. Transmission, right here. This is just a shroud that covers everything. Transmission piece is right back here, this big thing where the drive shafts connect. We were talking about bearings. This is a transmission. Watch this. All taken apart. I put all my parts in a bag so I don't lose them, the screws and stuff. Opening, opening. I've already taken the screws out. I got to do this slowly. And hallelujah. Okay, now what you're seeing in there is marine grease that I used to use when I first built this transmission. This is not the transmission off of the body or the frame I just showed you. But you will see inside that even though I've run water through here, that there is no rust. You know why? Because I went through, you can see all the old yucky marine grease in there. Yes, it's brown, yes, it's dirty, but you know what? My bearings spin like they're brand new. Okay, so you want to go in here, you want to do a quick little dab. Okay, this is actually an aftermarket gear I've put in, a nice solid drive line because I put my stuff through a lot of torque. This is an RRP piece, Robinson Racing Products. Okay, you can check them out. You can see all the gears, focus, can't get it to focus. Focus on me, not everything else. So there we go. So what you want to do is put a small blob in there and then start working it around. Okay, this will make it protected, but please keep in mind you've got to pull out the gears in here because let's have a look at this idler gear. Okay, focusing, focus. Okay, bearing on the inside, both sides. So you really have to be careful and get in there and make sure to put marine grease. Do not blob marine grease in here because it will cause binding issues. We already know that if you're in the mud, in the muck, in the rocks, if you have binding issues, your motor is working over hard. Okay? You do not need the motor to work hard, so just get in there, protect the bearings. That's what you want to do. I know that everyone has been asking me for a while, Medic, how do you waterproof your trucks? I've done lots of videos about it, but I've never done it front to back. If you follow these steps, you actually go and spend the $6 on marine grease for a gun that big. You spend the $12 and you actually take your time and do it right with plasti-dip. Two things. What is that? A total of $20 with tax. You go out, you spend it. You're in the hobby to have fun anyway. You're in it to learn about your trucks and cars and all that stuff. Why not take the time while you're building it or while you sit down to rework it to actually do these tips and tricks. When you do that, you will see a much longer life come from your RCs. Does that help you guys? I hope that helps you guys. I know there's plenty of ways to water resist your stuff, but I hope that this laid out in one format, in one single shot, so there's no trick photography or anything like that, actually will give you some help. This is how I do all of my trucks. So yeah, if you like these videos, please click the thumbs up button, make sure you're subscribed, and if you want, check out rcsparks.com because that's where all of the RC addicts come on by and share their experiences. There's lots of RC forums out there, Google RC forums, or if you want to come and hang out and chat with me, RC Sparks is where I'll be. See you guys next time.